Welcome back. Tying that guy. I'm Wes Chatham. This is my good buddy, Ty Fraggle. Fraggle from Fraggle Rock.
Hey, you know what? We are 1 degree away from Fraggle Rock because the guy who played the new Secretary General after Nancy Gow was killed in season 5 of The Expanse was a writer on Fraggle Rock.
You're kidding.
That's not a lie.
So write that.
Story.
So I need to know who this person is. So season what? Season 2? Season 3?
Season 5. It's his name is David Pastor on the show. He plays the guy who becomes the Secretary General.
Oh, that's right. He was a writer on Fraggle Rock. How did I not know this? Yes, oh my God. When we do our Tying That Guy top 5 Fraggle Rock episodes, we got to have that guy on as a guest.
Oh my, that would be amazing.
Amazing.
Have him come on and talk about writing Fraggle Rock. I bet he'd do it. He was a nice guy.
Do you think there's an appetite with our worldwide fan base for Fraggle Rock? Do you think that there's people that are old enough to even know what Fraggle Rock is?
I would guess that the 8 people who listen to this show, probably at least 2 of them watched Fraggle.
That's all.
That would be my guess.
And that's all we need. That's all we need. That's a high percentage.
Yeah.
What I still think about when I think about Fraggle Rock is those green men that built those special like plastic or glass. They would build these like tall glass cities, and the Fraggles would come. Dozers. And not Ghostbuster dozers, but Fraggle Rock dozers. And the
one in Ghostbusters is Gozer.
I said Gozer. Stop it. And they would come and they would just eat. You know, they would spend their life building these empires, and the Fraggles would come and eat those. But what a crazy idea! Like there is a race of people that build these glass buildings that the Fraggles eat. Isn't that crazy? And they're constantly building. They don't stop building.
Yeah, it was very strange world building.
I don't know much about Fraggle Rock, but I thought they only ate radishes. I don't think they ate glass buildings, Wes.
Oh, you don't know shit about Fraggle Rock. So just mute your little microphone.
That's really fucking
buddy.
hurtful. Okay.
Ty, don't they eat the glass things?
I have no memory of this.
Joseph.
Alrighty, I'm trying to remember. The little guys who built the things, yeah, they built the glass whatever structures. I thought the Fraggles did eat it. It's been a while since I've watched Fraggle Rock, but I loved it.
Can't believe I fucking Googled this.
Yeah, what happened? Tell me.
Fraggles only eat radishes. However, dozer sticks, their building materials, are made out of radish dust.
So they did eat it.
There you go.
So I was right, and you were wrong. Because the Fraggles would come across like they're coming across Crafty on the movie set, and they would just take some dozer sticks and cram it down their mouth. And these poor guys are like, shit. And they never finished the project because they were constantly working on it. But if we were going to do top 5 Fraggles, I could do that right now, top 5 Fraggle Rocks. But
we got to wait until we get the...
Yeah, we got to get a consensus. We got to get a consensus of people that...
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing season 4, episode 7, written by a friend of the show,
Bon Jovi. It's Shot in the Dark.
Yeah. Shot to the heart, and you're to blame, darling. You get. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
You're supposed to say "Shot in the Dark" in your.
Shot in the dark. Danny Nowak on Attack, who we also call Bon Jovi.
And this is the first episode that was directed by the lovely and talented Sarah Harding.
She is probably one of my favorite directors that I worked on this show.
She was the nicest person to work with that I maybe have ever worked with in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just an absolute lovely human being. Just a pleasure to, through prep, she was a pleasure. And on set, she was really nice to everybody. In editing, she was a pleasure to be around. Like, never a negative moment hanging out with Sarah.
But also extremely smart and really great with story.
She knows what she's doing. She's a professional for sure. Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from her professionalism, but you get used to working with people who are good at their jobs but are kind of not fun to be around. It's always pleasant when you're working with somebody who's good at their job and they're pleasant to be around. That's always a pleasant little surprise. Like, oh, I actually like this person and they're still good at their job. Yeah.
What about you also get those people that are fun to be around, but they're not good at their job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, but you get fewer of those in TV because TV moves very quickly, and everybody's job that season is their audition for being on the show the next season.
Yeah.
So if you're around somebody who's fun but not good at their job, they're just not back the next season. They fall out of the mix pretty fast.
Where did the title come from? A Shot in the Dark.
I don't remember. Probably Dan pitched titles to Narain. Narain always picks the titles, so Dan probably pitched him a couple of titles, and Narain picked Shot in the Dark.
So deep.
I don't know.
Okay, so we're seeing Avasarala. I'm going to start with Avasarala because she had my favorite storyline this episode. But we're starting to see Avasarala stumble a little bit. And from my experience, or for me thinking about it, I think it's the first time where she's not truly being authentically herself. And she's running for an office that she's never had to do before. Yeah. She hired these aides. They're giving her, pointers on things that she needs to do. And they talked her in doing this speech where she takes responsibility for. Oh, explain that to me a little bit so I can remember it. The thing that she's taking responsibility for in the beginning, because I was trying to remember what that was.
Oh, it's it's the destruction of the ship.
She trusted the Belters to. She trusted the Belters to handle the terrorist attack.
Well, yeah. So she's taking responsibility for the fact that there was a terrorist attack that was clearly launched by somebody that the Belters had assured her would be taken care of.
And so she goes against her instincts or whatever. She does this speech. She feels like it makes her look weak. It makes her look incompetent. She wants to fire everybody. Did we talk about the recasting of her husband yet?
I don't think we have. We may have talked about it briefly.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how that sometimes works in shows and how that happened?
It happened because Brian George wasn't available. 100% of the story is Brian George. We had talked to him about coming back. He said he was interested in coming back. Then when we reached out to his agents to sign him up and go through the casting process, his agent came back and said, "Oh, Brian just got signed as a recurring character on a sitcom." And I think that sitcom was only a 1-season sitcom, or if even that, it didn't last. But if you have a chance to be a recurring character on a sitcom as an actor, you take that because that's a fat paycheck. And so nobody was mad at Brian for taking that over coming back to us. Like, we would not have paid him nearly what he would have gotten paid for doing multiple seasons of a sitcom. No. So that's fine. I mean, Brian's doing what he needs to do for his job, but it meant we didn't have that character. And so we had two choices. Either we don't use the husband character at all in season 4, or we recast. Those were our only two choices. And we seriously considered just writing the husband out of the show when Brian couldn't come back. But the argument was made in the room that so many storylines in that season involved her relationship with her husband that if we just wrote that out, there would be this big hole in the Avasarala storyline, and we weren't sure how to fill that hole. So the decision was made to try to recast. And recasting is always hard. It's audiences always think that they're fine with recasting, and then every time you do it, the audience will get pissed at you. So it's a hard decision to make.
Because writers, once they start to see what the actor's doing or whatever, they craft their writing towards that actor's strengths. And do you write differently when there's a different actor playing the same character?
I don't know that we wrote differently for the new Arjun, but I certainly think his performance put a different spin on the words. Brian George, the way he played Arjun, he was very gentle. He was very understated. And I think if the exact same dialogue delivered through a Brian George performance as Arjun would have come across very differently. The actor that we did hire is a perfectly fine actor. I'm not saying anything bad about him, but he has much more of an edge to him. Mm-hmm. And that I believe that edge changed the meaning of the word, changed the context of the words. Right. That Brian George would have put a completely different spin on. So, I mean, and that's the risk you take with recasting, is that actors always bring their own ideas to the story, their own take on what the story's about. And, that's often good. And sometimes it's not good.
Were you a fan of Arrested Development?
I was a fan of the first season, and then I just sort of stopped watching it after the first season.
So I remember George Michael had like this religious girlfriend that he could never remember her name, and they recasted her. I think it was once or twice they recasted her, but I remember like reading behind the scenes that they originally were going to recast her every episode because nobody notices her or everything, and so that was part of the joke, is like the recasting of her, which I thought was genius. A few other people I was trying to remember that got recast and what that was like. Vivian Banks of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She was the Vivian Banks character. I remember her being recast.
Well, and famously, the Mountain got recast like every season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that was one because I remember the only Mountain I remember was that Mountain guy, that massive dude. You know, the guy that ate like a whole chicken. Or I was reading a Men's Health thing or whatever, and Peter Dinklage was talking about he went to dinner with him and he ate a whole chicken, and he ate like 2 pitchers of beer, or drank 2 pitchers of beer as he ate a whole chicken or something. But that's the only, so, you know, I do know that he was recast, and it was kind of known for recasting that. But, you know, when we see Alva Serrala like really firing on all cylinders in season 6, it's when she's just listening to her own gut, doing what she feels like she needs to do, and kind of rolling with that. And this is one thing where she's a little bit uncomfortable running for this office, and she's got people there, and so there's a lack of authenticity that really makes her so strong. She has such strong instincts and such a strong gut. And I find that with a lot of politicians, like this speech might have been right for some politicians, and some speeches are some right. Like they make choices that might be right if it was other politicians, but it's not right for them. And at times when you get into trouble is when things aren't really tailor-made, or like there isn't an honesty or truth there. And that's what I really liked about her in season 6 is like all of the cards are on the, like it's, you know, they're fighting for survival. There's no time for politicking. She's got to do what the fuck she's got to do. And I think that's when she's at her best.
At least in like American politics. You know, the president is like the showrunner because he has a bunch of writers. He has a whole department of people who do nothing but write speeches and write policy and all that kind of stuff. And what happens is when you can tell that there is, or maybe not the president's sure, but like the chief of staff is, when there's a strong chief of staff, when there's a strong president, you wind up with kind of a unified voice, because anything that gets written that doesn't match their political bent, you know, they have it rewritten. They block it, right? You can tell when a president or an administration does not have a strong central person guiding that, because it seems like every speech was written by a different person.
Yeah.
And I think what you see in season 4 is she's struggling with that all these voices are talking in her ear, telling her what she should and shouldn't be doing. And she's struggling with just laying out, this is us, this is our policy. Anything you guys write that doesn't match this, I'm not saying. And taking control of it, because she's never had to do it before. This is her first time having to do that.
Like I always thought Bill Clinton would be an incredible actor because he was so malleable in his presidency. There was so many different forms and versions of him. And he wasn't like a Barack Obama that had this charismatic, strong personality and was consistent in his thing. It was like, he was kind of like a shapeshifter. You know, his first term was way different than his second term.
Yeah.
And
like Obama is one of those presidents I'm talking about. You can tell an Obama speech just by reading it.
Yeah.
There is such consistency to the way Obama presented himself and presented his vision and the kinds of speeches he made and the kinds of words he used. So somebody behind the scenes, either him or his chief of staff or whoever was running his communications, had a very clear vision of what an Obama presidency was. And everything had to match that vision. Not every president has that, and not every administration has that person really focusing on like a single vision.
Right.
It's tough to do because the administration is thousands of people, all with different jobs, and so having one person really sort of make everybody follow the same mission is really tough to do.
Yeah, I bet Daniel Abraham could be a speechwriter.
Daniel Abraham has written speeches.
Oh, really?
Not only did he write all the speeches for our show, but Daniel and I made friends with the guy who was a speechwriter for another campaign. And that guy asked us if we had any input, and Daniel wrote several things for him. I don't know if they got used or not, but Daniel.
I mean, that's what I was basing it off on, is all the speeches that he's written in The Expanse. He's kind of like the speech guy.
He is a speech guy. He could write a good speech.
So maybe he should go do something honorable with that talent as opposed to just making.
Yeah, the problem is he makes way more than any politician makes.
I know. I know. He doesn't want to take the pay cut. But I love how you compared being the president of the United States as a showrunner. That's how you know you've been in the TV too long. Your prism of the world is very specific.
Yeah, except that what I'm saying is that the one similarity they have is there's a bunch of different people writing stuff. And if you don't have a single voice saying, this is the voice of our administration, and making all the writers write to that voice, you wind up with a muddle, which is the same thing that happens in a writer's room.
Another major difference is showrunners don't have the power to launch nuclear weapons.
Well, some of them do.
Do
you honestly believe if Dick Wolf wanted a nuclear missile shot, they wouldn't shoot off a nuclear missile? Dick Wolf could own his own battleship if he wanted.
I stand corrected. Dick Wolf probably has a couple of nuclear weapons as a showcase in his house. So Alvis Farrell is faced with another difficult decision and the invasion of the Pazuzu. And the two options is they think that Marco's on this ship. They don't know what it's up to, so they can nuke it, which they're probably going to kill a lot of innocent people, or they can send UN Marines onto this ship to take it over and try to capture Marco and make a example of him. So just walk us through exactly what happens and what goes wrong at the end. And Marco, is he fucking always one step ahead? Clever little bastard.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly a setup. Marco knows they're looking for him. He allows himself to be seen on the Pazuzu and then clearly leaves, but knows that information will eventually get back to somebody. And what he wants is exactly what happens, which is the UN goes onto the ship to try to capture him. He has the ship destroyed. He has it self-destruct, killing a bunch of Belters and the entire, strike team that was landed there. This has a number of effects that help Marco. One is it makes him seem smarter than the inner planets, which is what the message he's trying to get out is, I'm smarter than them. I can beat them at their own game, because he's trying to recruit support in the belt, right? So that's a good message for him. The second thing he's trying to say is, look how bloodthirsty the inner planets are. They'll just come and kill a bunch of Belters to try to capture me. They don't even care, right? We don't. Our lives don't mean anything to them. That's another good message for Marco. And the third message is, fuck you, Secretary General. I'm smarter than you, and every time you come after me, I'm going to beat you, which makes them hesitate to take him on again in that same way, which is also good for him. So this has there's a lot of layers to this plan. There are a lot of ways in which this particular plan pays off for him in a huge way. And this moment really is a pivotal moment for him, because by the time we catch up to him in season 5, he is the de facto leader of the largest Belter organization. This is that moment. This is the moment that creates him when he throws sand in the UN space and gets away with it.
See, one of Marco's advantages is like the 3 aliens in Superman and the Dick Downer Superman, where they realize that Superman cares about the innocent people and they don't give a fuck about the innocent people. They just want to win. And so they're throwing shit on the street and everything. Superman's like having to fly and catch it before it kills all those people, whatever.
Yep.
If Marco doesn't give a shit about his own people, then, we're definitely at a disadvantage going forward.
Yep.
So let me walk through the situation on Illis right now, because this is a pretty shitty one, and tell me if I missed anything. Okay, so we got 2 groups of people that hate each other, that have actively killed each other and trying to kill each other. They're locked in an alien cave underwater. They're under the sea, like under the ocean, and they got green micro bacteria that are fucking on their eyeballs and multiplying to the point that the whole population of these foreign things in their eyes was going to blind you, and then ultimately they're going to eat your eyeballs out. And in the meantime, as they're going blind, they find these poisonous slugs that kill you within seconds after they land on you. Did I miss anything?
No, that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that covers it. Oh, like, no. The other piece you're missing is that all of the ships that could save them are falling out of orbit and about to burn up in the sky.
Good point. And we're going to get to those later, but I'm just focused on the guys on the ground. Also, you have a few more natural disasters that are headed their way too. I don't know, man. Like, I look at this and I'm like, I might take the easy way out and just pick me up a slug, because, especially if I'm going blind. Like, I don't know about this shit.
Well, and in fact, Amos does something very similar to that.
He does. He's headed towards that. But the big shout out to the two guys that died. I don't remember his name, the actor's name, but the guy that he was drowning him.
Yeah,
he pulled him up with long hair, and he has slugs on his face, and he starts like going into convulsions. He comes down, and then the slug falls on that guy's head and rolls down, and he dies right away. And it really is terrifying. I mean, it really. And then they do the black light, and you see all these, how many slugs are up there, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that is a horrible, horrific scene. And then, but also within that, Murdy reveals his true motivations. He reveals that he has figured out that if they can get rid of the belters, that he's going to get a percentage of the billions and billions of dollars that they're going to get with all the natural resources on this planet and the lithium and all these things. And he admits to Jess that it's not, I mean, Jess is her name. What's the Way? Yeah, right. So he admits to Way that Holden's going to be a problem.
Yep.
And he goes, I'm not going to let him get to court. I'm not going to let him do it. Like, we got to take him out. And so he's revealing all this stuff.
It's even more of a payoff for him, because what he says to her is, I was already going to get a percentage. Like, they offered me a percentage. If I can get rid of the belters, I get like 1% of the find, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying, when it was just a lithium mine, that would have been millions of dollars. Now it's not just a lithium mine. Now it's a lithium mine and all this crazy alien technology, which is going to be worth trillions of dollars. So he's saying, we were going to be millionaires. Now we're going to be billionaires. And all we got to do is get rid of these people and James Holden.
So did he know this going there? Did he know, hey, the company say, if you get rid of these fucking belters, you're going to get a percentage of this thing. So he was going there and doing that. Wow.
This moment also helps explain why he's been doing what he's been doing all this time.
Yeah. And he has really slid to the pure antagonist position at this point. You know, his rant, which was really well written, because that rant about, and how many times have you heard this from people? How many times have you heard this thing about, you know, all the shit that I've done, and I've been fucked this way, and I've been fucked that way, and I'm coming to get what's mine. I'm coming to get, you know, what I'm owed or what I'm done, you know, what I'm due. I hate that talk, and I hate that way of thinking. And he does such a good way in embodying that. I mean, so many evil deeds have been done with this way of thinking, with this mentality of these bitter people that show up in these situations.
But it is very human. Over and over and over again, people make decisions to do terrible things strictly from the perspective of, I am owed this. And if people won't give it to me, I'll take it. It's
kind of like before we started recording on this podcast, when you're talking about all the time that you're giving to this podcast, and you owe some goddamn money. you at least want a fucking t-shirt or something.
Oh, I don't necessarily need any money. Well, all I want is the respect of my coworkers. You know, that's all I'm asking.
Well, I mean, that's a bridge too far.
I know. That's exactly why I was upset. No, but it's funny because you and I have talked about Richard Nixon a bunch before. How you've read a lot more about him than I have, but you talked about the fact that so much of what he did was motivated by insecurity.
Yeah,
that he didn't feel like people respected him. That there was this insider club of East Coast liberals that were Harvard educated, and they were all smart, and they thought he was a thug. And so much of what he did was to try to get, to prove that he was better than them, or that he didn't need their respect. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, you're talking about the most powerful, arguably one of the most powerful men in the world, still being driven by getting his. I need respect. And if you don't give me respect, I will burn the world down to get it.
Yeah. Nixon fascinates me because it is, on one hand, he was brilliant. On the other hand, he was an insecure, afraid little boy, tyrant. And there was a congressional panel. It might have been Howard Hughes. I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't think it was something, somebody was being questioned or whatever, and he said he was asking about the guy's education, just a formality for some reason. He goes, yeah, I went to this because Nixon went to a state school, and that always gave him deep shame and embarrassment. And he says, but he went to Caltech, or not Caltech. He went to I don't know, I don't remember. But I mean, if he went to Caltech, he'd be the baddest motherfucker on that panel. But I don't know where he went. But anyway, so and you see his face and that big nose, and it just got like a red as a bulb, and he was infuriated, insane with fury because the guy called out his state school diploma, and this guy was an Ivy League guy, the bane of Nixon's existence, and you can see it in real time. You could probably YouTube it, that panel, whatever, because I'm sure they have somebody, because it was such a telling moment in Richard Nixon's life and what motivates him, and he's motivated by anger, fear, and rage, and that really fine mind of his was completely perverse and possessed by this rage that he had inside of him.
And that's my only point, is that throughout human history, I would say that one of the number one motivators for evil is the world owes me something. They're not giving it to me, so I'm just going to take it.
Right.
Now, taking it from the lofty heights of presidential power down to the lowest, when I was a supervisor back in my early days, when I was like low level management in like fulfillment centers, we had people come in what they call loss prevention, which is people come in and teach you how to keep your employees from stealing from you. Mm-hmm. And the guy who came in and taught that class said the number one justification you will hear when you catch an employee stealing is, well, you owe me this because you don't pay me enough. And that's the number one justification, is if you're not going to pay me what I think I should be paid, I'm going to steal enough to make up the difference. And that's the justification they use. So from the lowest, like I was a warehouse supervisor and these people are warehouse, shippers, all the way up to presidential power, that same motivation is always there of the world owes me and I'm going to take what I'm owed.
What is fulfillment centers?
Like a warehouse where you send an order into Amazon and the warehouse picks that order, packs it in a box, and ships it to you. That's a fulfillment center.
Okay, because when we first said it, I pictured like you as a shaman that were giving people fulfillment when they would come in. I was like, this is fucking
nothing that
cool.
spiritual.
I didn't even know about that. I can see you in there and like giving people psilocybin and taking them on journeys and like having a fulfillment experience.
No, nothing that exciting. I was sending people, guitar strings and tuners. I used to work for a company that became part of Guitar Center, the company that was the mail order piece of Guitar Center.
Were you playing guitar at the time?
Yeah, I was a bass player at the time.
Did you still mess around with the bass?
Not much lately because I just haven't had the opportunity, but I will. We have a music room in our house and we're getting it set up. And once it's set up and my amp is set up and all my stuff is set up in there, I'll probably start playing again. But I have some really nice bass guitars because I worked there and I got really good deals on really nice stuff.
Or were you one of those employees that was like, I'm fucking owed this, and that's where you got the nice guitars?
No. So I've done a lot of evil shit in my life, and I'm not even trying to front. Like I've done some really terrible things that I'm very ashamed of. The one thing I don't do is steal. Like I'll do all the other rotten shit, but for some reason, and you know what it is I feel like the person who's being stolen from doesn't deserve that.
What is the number one thing you've done that you're most ashamed of?
Oh, I'm not going to say that. I am not going to say that publicly. No.
The listeners want to know. That's what they want to know.
Yeah. But if I'm in your house and I see something that I really like, I'm not going to steal it.
Oh, good.
I'll steal other people's stuff.
Should we talk about the number one thing Clint is most ashamed of?
Yeah.
And what is there?
I'm going to guess that it's not. Like, it's way worse than punching somebody at the Hollywood Bowl, because he's already talked on this show about punching people at the Hollywood Bowl. So it's got to be way worse than that.
In Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
We're drinking white wine. So walk me through the whole situation that the Rossi and all of them, they have to figure out orbiting Illis, that whole thing, because they ultimately figure out that because what they were going to do is they were going to evacuate everybody in the Rossi. But Felsia realized that they would lose all the lithium, and then everything that they worked for, and the whole reason that they're there, and the one chance at really starting a world for themselves and a home. And so they have to fight for it. So they end up coming up with a plan. Walk us through what that plan is.
All of this stuff, just for the scientists, the one scientist among our 8 listeners, all of this stuff is accelerated. It wouldn't happen this quickly, but for dramatic reasons, you speed things up. So the Barbapicola, the Belter ship, is at a very low orbit. And there's reasons why they did that, why they were keeping it at a very low orbit. So what happens when you're at low orbit is you're hitting, the atmosphere goes out very far from the planet. And it goes out much further even than we think it does, like at very thin amounts. So when you're in a low orbit, you're hitting some atmosphere, not very much, but some. And as you hit that atmosphere, it slows you down. And the way orbital mechanics work is as you slow down, your orbit begins to drop, which means that now you'll be hitting even more atmosphere, which means you'll begin slowing down even faster, which means you'll continue to drop. And once that has begun, it will accelerate because you're constantly hitting more and more atmosphere, and so you're slowing down even more. All of which is fine if you can fire the engines on the ship. So if you start to slow down rather than drop, what you can do is you can fire the engines on the ship, which will speed you up, which will put you back into a higher orbit and keep you from catastrophically re-entering the atmosphere. So the Barbapicola, that's what it was doing, is it was at a low orbit, but it would just fire its engines periodically so it wouldn't fall too far and burn up in the atmosphere. Now, with their reactor out, they don't have sufficient engine power to continue doing that. So the ship is going to fall and continue to fall until at some point there's so much atmosphere that the ship starts to burn up. That's what's happening with them.
And so they're going to hook all the ships together, and they're going to use the Rossi to raise it up with the drones.
Yeah. So what the Rossi is going to do is attach a cable to the Barb, because the Rossi has much more powerful RCS thrusters and more fuel. So what it can do is it can fire its thrusters and pull to speed up the Barb. And in orbital mechanics, the faster you go, the higher you are in the orbit. So it's just going to pull the Barb till it's going faster, and both ships will move to a higher orbit.
What exactly is the atmosphere? Is that like gases that gather around?
Yeah, it's just all the gases that are clustered around the planet because of gravity.
And is it heated? Why does it burn things up when it goes into...
So the reason that ships burn up when they hit too much atmosphere is because friction causes heat. So every time a little oxygen atom hits the hull of the ship, it transfers some energy to the hull of the ship, which causes the hull to slow down, but also transfers a little bit of heat, which is fine because when you're in a very thin atmosphere, that heat radiates out faster than it accumulates, so the ship never heats up, right? But you get down to a certain level, and so much atmosphere is hitting the ship, and it's hitting it very fast because the ship is going thousands of miles an hour. Those oxygen atoms or whatever, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, whatever, they're slamming into the hull of the ship, transferring a lot of energy and heating the hull. And because it's happening so quickly, that heat is not radiating back off of the hull, so the temperature of the hull begins to rise. And it will continue to rise as you hit more and more atmosphere until the point where the ship burns up. And you can see that actually if you watch like Apollo missions, the lander that comes back to Earth, the recovery capsule, it has that big curved shield on the bottom. That's the heat shield that's designed to absorb all that heat that's dropping through the atmosphere creates without burning up the capsule. But of course, a big ship like the Barbapicola, like the whole ship isn't made out of heat shield, so the Barb will just burn up. The hull will just burn up.
That brings me to I really like the list this week. I think it's a lot of fun. But Mercury made me really not like him with this whole rant, and I've seen this rant many, many times, probably in the mirror. But it made me not like him. And so the list is the most hated characters in movie history. Now,
that list is like 1 million characters long, right?
No, because it's the most hated. So there's a lot of mild hating going on. Right. I'm talking like people that you really fucking hate.
Okay.
But there's really two lists. There's lists of people that you genuinely hate. Like as a character, they did such a good job. You're like, I fucking hate this person. And there's a list of people that you love to hate,
Right.
Like what's his name in Ghostbusters?
Right.
So
William Atherton, right?
William Atherton. So I think there's really two lists going on because there's the fun, love to hate, and then there's like I fucking hate that guy, like Percy from the Green Mile.
Right.
So here's the list of our millions of fans: Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
Jar
Yep.
Jar Jar Binks from Star Wars. Also, what I think is interesting is the people that everybody hate that aren't necessarily supposed to be hated.
Right.
They just be hated. Terrence Fletcher, Whiplash. Carter Burke, Aliens. They're pandering to us a little bit. Percy Wetmore from Green Mile. Willie Scott from Temple of Doom.
Oh, that person's just being a dick. Come on.
No, are you kidding? She was awesome in that movie. That's mean.
Yeah, that's
why would? How could you? She was awesome. That was. Just, I love. I love Temple of Doom. I'm a huge fan of Temple of Doom, and I thought she was great in that. Walter Peck in Ghostbusters, who is definitely on my love to hate. You can also put him in the Real Genius. He was great in that too.
Yep.
Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars, and I think it's like 1 through 3 Star Wars.
Yep.
I'm on board with this one. I thought, you had a chance to do Darth motherfucking Vader, and it was like this sniveling, whining little... Yeah, I was not a fan of that. Johnny Lawrence and Karate Kid. That I watched Karate Kid recently, and me and my kids watched it. I think I sent you a text of them watching it. Oh, no, I sent you and Dan a text of like, what was it? You kiss your mother with that mouth? Or what was the line? I don't remember what it was. Walk a creep to school day, or something like. Anyway, the insults are just classic in that. But the one thing that, because it's pretty much a flawless, perfect movie. There's nothing cheesy in that movie at all. But the one thing that really struck me is Mr. Miyagi kicked the shit out of 5 of these guys. So Mr. Miyagi is like, probably in his late 60s, early 70s. He's 5'2". He fucks up all these guys, these macho 80 karate guys. He goes to the belly of the beast. He goes to their karate dojo, and there's a guy there with like, he has this like M60 assault rifle over his shoulders, and he's like all greased up in the jungle, and in a picture that he has there, and they're like, mercies for the weak, and they go through all that shit, and Johnny Lawrence sees Mr. Miyagi and whispers something in this dojo's ear. This dojo, who is like an Arnold Schwarzenegger
The dojo
type
is the building. The teacher is the sensei.
So what was I saying wrong?
You're saying dojo. The dojo is the room that they're in.
Sorry.
The teacher is the sensei.
This sensei walks over to Mr. Miyagi, and he's like, this guy could be in Predator, right? He's like a fucking 80s man's man. Walks over to Miyagi, and he's like, you roughed up my guys the other night? He just accepted the fact that this 5'2", 68-year-old guy beat the fuck out of 5 of his number 1 students. Johnny Lawrence is the goddamn the Valley champion for 3 years running, and Mr. Miyagi fucked these guys up, and he doesn't have any questions. He doesn't have any. He wasn't like, when Johnny whispered in his ear, he wasn't like, what? This guy fucked you up? And then going over and like, hey man, like, he walked over, and that was a flaw in the thing. He treated this guy, there's no surprise. There's no recognition of how the fuck did this happen at all. Yeah. And then he threatens this guy. He threatens Miyagi. This is the flaw in the thing. Like, if it could have been a way more compelling scene if he didn't take Mr. Miyagi seriously. When they brought it up to him, and he's like, what? This fucking guy? And then him going over there and just like trying to figure it out. And then at the end, just being like, whatever, old man. Okay, nobody touch him. We're not, da-da-da. But he was like, if you don't show up, then it's hunting season, or it's going to be open season on you and him. And it's like, it just doesn't work when you're 5 feet taller than this guy and really digging in to intimidate him. It just doesn't work. That's the only flaw in Karate Kid.
Well, I would say that the teacher of the Cobra Kai dojo is one of those characters that
Sensei.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is a guy over Johnny Lawrence, because Johnny Lawrence has some moments. Yep. I mean, he had a full redemption arc. At the end, he's like, "You're fucking all right, LaRusso. You're all right."
Yeah.
So he's the guy, whatever his name is, Sensei. Leo Guest from Lethal Weapon is definitely on my love to hate list. Now, this is my number 1 This is a good one. Whoever did this one, because this is my number one hate, is Nurse Ratched from Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I hated her.
Yeah, just a loathsome character. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
What a really good performance by that actress. Who's Denethor from Lord of the Rings? Is it Denethor?
Oh, Denethor. He's the one who tried to set himself on fire with his son. He was the Lord in the third movie. He's like the Lord of Gondor.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that has that amazing scene where he sends his son Faramir to attack the orcs, and knowing it's a suicide mission, and then it keeps cutting to him eating dinner, and he's like eating grapes and tomatoes and stuff.
Yeah.
While his kid is riding, and they're getting riddled with arrows. And
I hate that guy.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I need to read The Lord of the Rings again. It's been a long time. Biff from Back to the Future, definitely love to hate him.
He's just a lovable rapist.
Biff is? Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he definitely. That makes me probably really hate him. Steven from Django Unchained, that was bad motherfucker. What's his name?
Samuel L. Jackson?
Samuel L. Jackson. Emperor Commodus from Gladiator.
Oh, yeah. One of the crazier performances by Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin was excellent in that. That was an excellent performance.
But Joaquin Phoenix is an excellent actor. Like, probably one of the best.
He's particularly good at crazy people.
Yep.
Like, he can really go for that there. You know, straightforward dramatic roles is not his strong. He needs to be eccentric in some way.
Have you seen the movie You Were Never Really Here with Joaquin Phoenix? Where he plays like this like PTSD ex-soldier who basically he just takes jobs finding girls who have been kidnapped and then beating the shit out of the person who kidnapped them.
No.
Yeah.
Is it good?
I really liked it. It has detractors, as people don't love it, but I actually really liked it. I thought it was a weird movie.
My favorite performance of his is in Her. That was a really well done thing. And then Clint made us. He forced us to put this in. But Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter. There you go, Clint.
Thank you.
Lumber for Office Space. I love to hate that guy.
I love that dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
he cracks me the hell up.
He cracks me up. His neighbor is in Office Space. He's like, no way, I'm not gonna let you fuck up my life too, man. What would you do with $1 million? I tell you what I'd do: 2 chicks at the same time. He's like, yeah, but why do you need $1 million to do 2 chicks at the same time?
I think with $1 million, I could hook that up.
Rose from the Titanic? Who hates Rose from the Are you talking about the mother? Not Rose.
No, some people hate Rose because she didn't let what's his name, Jack. She didn't let Jack get up on the door with her.
The door wasn't big enough. They both would have drowned.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people get very angry about that.
I'm striking Rose from the list because I love Rose. Ed Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Oh, I love to hate Ed Rooney. I love that movie. I love that performance. Do you want a gummy bear?
and it turned out the actor was a scumbag. So like it makes you even hate that character even more.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. He might be put in the like legit hate category then.
Yeah. When you are a hated character and also you are hated as a person, that's like that's the 1-2 punch.
Oh, Ed, you sounded like Dirty Harry just then. Really? Ellis from Die Hard.
Now I love Ellis. Like Ellis is a delightful fuck up.
He is a delightful. He's a love to hate guy, and he could be in there. Archibald Cunningham from Rob Roy. That guy. Oh,
okay. That's a really good pick because that is a fantastic character.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Archie. Yeah.
And I legitimately hated him. Like he'd be under Nurse Ratched for me.
By the time you get to the end, like you just want to see Liam Neeson fuck that dude up. Like you are so ready for that to happen.
Yeah. Rob Roy was a great fucking movie. It was overshadowed by Braveheart, but it was a great. I really love that movie.
And in fact, if I rewatch movies, I am much more likely to rewatch Rob Roy than I am to rewatch Braveheart.
Oh, not me. Braveheart's getting in the rotation. I love me.
I enjoy Rob Roy more now than I enjoy Braveheart now.
But he pulled a Jedi with the dead horse in the river.
He did.
Oh, I saw a poster the other day with what is those animals that they ride in Empire Strikes Back? Those rams that Luke cut open.
Yeah, I don't remember what they were called.
Tauntauns.
Tauntauns.
There you go.
So they say the poster said, "What temperature is a tauntaun?" And then at the bottom it says lukewarm.
Wow.
Okay, so Violet from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, poor Violet.
Okay, so now that's our million fans list. So this is some of the things that I feel like were missed.
Could I add one to the list there? What?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Way to slow down the whole fucking thing. Why not wait?
It's just
yeah, go ahead.
One.
Go ahead.
Okay. It was this awesome movie with this horrible villain. His name was Jasper Kimbrell, I think it was.
Oh. No, that guy was brilliant. That was that's a Alan Rickman performance. Okay, so this is the ones that I think were forgotten. Neil Kellerman from Dirty Dancing, hated that guy. Joffrey from Game of Thrones, which is a television show.
Joffrey is one of the most hated characters ever.
Yeah.
In any medium. Yeah.
That kid earned that. He had a talent for being hated.
Well, and here's the thing is the actor is a lovely guy. Like, just a really nice guy. Like, after that show was over, he went to college. I think he's become like a priest or a minister or something.
No way, really?
Yeah. I mean, like acting was not his like long-term goal. He always wanted to go into like the seminary or something. But just like a nice person. And did he nail being awful? He crushed it. He was so good. I'm sad he's not doing more acting because I think he's actually a very talented actor.
Well, that's really interesting. I always think it's fascinating when people have success or done something like that, but they're not really interested in it. It was just a stop along the way.
Yeah.
Well,
and famously Carrie Henn, who did one movie, Aliens, and told her parents she wasn't really interested in being an actor and went to college and is a teacher now.
What, is that the young girl?
Yeah, it's Newt.
Yeah. Alex DeLarge in A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, yeah.
Thanos in The Avengers. Regina George in Mean Girls. She was great in that. Alex Forrest in Fatal Attraction. Warden Norton in Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh, Warden Norton. And I would say it's a neck and neck tie with the Warden.
Cratchit.
And the Clancy Brown character.
Oh,
guard.
Oh, I forgot about that guy. Yeah.
And throw a three-way tie in there because Drake from Aliens as the rapist dude in Shawshank is also pretty fucking hateable.
Oh, I hated him.
Yeah.
So all right. So we have to have one winner from Shawshank. And mine, probably the rapist has got to win.
He's pretty awful. Yeah, the gang rapist guy.
But the Warden, at least he was like honest about what he wanted. The Warden really he was so like such a...
That is what differentiates the two. Is the Warden has a public face, whereas he's a man of God. He's trying to help the prisoners with these programs. He's doing all these helpful things for the state that he's in, and all of it is totally self-serving, and he's willing to kill people to protect it. Yeah, I think the Warden has to win. You're right.
Yeah. What about Bill Paxton in Weird Science?
No! Chet is awesome. What are you talking about?
But that's a love to hate.
I never hated Chet. I hated Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
and his buddy.
Listen, Chet is one of my favorite characters of all time. I don't hate him. I just love to hate him. But he is a character that you're supposed to hate, but you end up loving to hate him, like Atherton in Ghostbusters. Yeah. But he's actually way more lovable than, you end up watching it. He stole the movie.
He did. He stole that movie.
He stole the movie. Oh, what about the German guy in Lost Ark?
Well, there's a lot of German guys in Lost Ark. Are you talking about?
No, the legitimate German guy that got his hand burned.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about the guy who tortures people. He's pretty awful.
Is it like Tort or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember.
The guy that grabs the
torturer
medallion. He's like, ah.
Yep. Yeah, the one who threatens to burn Marion's face with the red hot poker.
Right. So let's do the genuine hate list first. And I think Nurse Ratched for me is number one.
Yeah, Nurse Ratched's pretty bad. And for me, I like the Nazi torturer would be up there for me. The warden from Shawshank would be up there for me.
What about Ray Fiennes in Schindler's List?
No, he was a very competent, efficient Nazi. That's all.
What?
Just doing his job.
Yeah. So you wouldn't.
No, he was awful, and I hated him. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I think I have a reputation, a well-known reputation as a hater of Nazis. So
Ray Fiennes is definitely number two. He really did that. So Nurse Ratched, Ray Fiennes. Would you put the warden from Shawshank as number three?
He would be high up on that list for me. He was pretty awful.
Would you put Joffrey in the top five?
I think so. I think that performance as Joffrey is maybe one of my favorite performances on Game of Thrones. And that's a show filled with amazing performances. But that kid, he's a young guy and pulling off the awfulness of Joffrey the way he did. Yeah, it was impressive.
All right, so number five, and just some runners, some close ones like Anakin Skywalker, Jar Jar Binks. Oh, Prince Humperdinck. He's definitely in the love to hate category.
Yeah.
Love right there. Wormtongue.
So here's the thing with Wormtongue. Wormtongue is awful, but by the end, you just feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Like that he has been so manipulated by Saruman and so corrupted by Saruman that you just kind of feel bad for him at the end.
Oh, it's got to be Archibald Cunningham.
Oh, Archie. Yeah, Archie is so awful.
I hate that guy.
Awful.
Hate him. All right, let's do our top five love to hate that are just so fun.
But one of my favorite lines in Rob Roy is when the wife says to Archie, she says, "I will think of you as dead until my husband makes you so, and then I will think of you no more."
Yeah.
Such a good line.
So good. That was
Jessica Lange.
Jessica Lange.
Yep. Okay.
So love to hate. I definitely think Prince Humperdinck is in love to hate. I got it.
William Atherton in anything he's ever done.
Yeah. You know what? Because William Atherton has two real genius in Ghostbusters, he might be number one. Right? Would you say?
William Atherton is that guy that even when he's not playing a love to hate guy, like my instinct is to love to hate him just because like I'm so used to like he's typecast as the guy I love to hate.
I don't think I've ever seen him in another type of role. Have you?
Yeah, he's done other stuff.
What?
I mean, I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but
because I know him in Die Hard, I know him in Ghostbusters, and I know him Real Genius. I don't know anything else that he's done.
His IMDb is like 12 pages, dude. This guy's been in everything,
and he's probably played that character in all of those.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he often plays smarmy characters, but he doesn't always play the same guy.
Oh, Percy Whitmore, I would definitely put on this list. Do you agree?
Percy.
Oh, no, wait, no. Oh, we missed Percy in the top five.
Yeah, I don't think Percy would knock out any of the five that we picked.
Yeah. I hated him, though, in the Green Mile. All right, so we got William Atherton for number one for his Ghostbusters and Real Genius and Die Hard. I know Clint's going to be after us for Dolores Umbridge. Oh, we got to put Biff on there. He's definitely in the top five love to hate. You know? Genius, fucking genius.
I do love Biff.
Yeah. What do you think about Prince Humperdinck? Do you like him?
I do like Prince Humperdinck, but I like the Count better. I love Prince Humperdinck.
Oh, the Count.
Yeah. Shit, what's his name? Count
Christopher Guest?
Yeah. I love Christopher Guest. And I think he gets better lines in that movie. Than the Prince is great, and I love the Prince Humperdinck character. But the Count gets amazing lines like when he's torturing Wesley, and he says, "And remember, this is for science, so do try to be honest." They give him all the best lines.
I do like when Humperdinck was like, and I got my wife's murder to plan. I'm swamped. We got to get Ellis some love.
Now, there's a guy who I have not seen in other things. Like, I don't know if he did much after Die Hard or before Die Hard. He's one of my favorite things in that movie. I love Ellis.
Yeah, I haven't seen him anything. Okay, so this is my proposal, right? Chet, number 1, because I love him the most, and he's supposed to be a hated one. William Atherton in Ghostbusters and Real Genius, number 2. Biff, number 3. And 4 is Ellis. What do you think?
I think it's a good list. I'm trying to think of who number 5 would be. The love to hate. I don't know. So Clint, who do you love to hate in Harry Potter? You want us to put one of the Harry Potter people in here?
Dolores Umbridge is the most hateable person in Harry Potter. That said, I don't give a fuck about Harry Potter, guys. How did I become this person?
Oh no, I know who Clint would pick. The guy who was played by Hans Gruber in Harry Potter. Shit, what's that character's name?
Snape. See, Clint, you got that. You knew what that was.
Yes, I've seen all the movies. I've seen a lot of fucking movies.
We gave you the Harry Potter test, and you passed.
Yep. So let's put Snape on there for Clint.
All right. Snape is for Clint.
Yeah, that's for Clint.
Snape turns out to be a hero. He's actually not a villain.
Yeah, but he's the guy you love to hate before that.
That disqualifies him. He turned out to be a villain. True. I know we got to be forgetting of somebody. Clint, who we? There's got to be
Lumberg. I
do love Lumberg.
I mean, it's a pretty good list.
Thanks for your input. Really inspirational.
I'll see myself out.
I mean, would you include Burn Gorman as Murphy? Would you include that in the love to hate list?
Yeah, I would. Let's throw Burns some love.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm rewatching Justified, and I would put Jared Burns as Win Duffy.
Oh my God, you are so right. But Wes hasn't seen Justified. His opinion on Justified is irrelevant because he hasn't actually watched it.
Well, good call. Oh,
Win Duffy is a great call, Clint. Yeah,
Danny DeVito in Romancing the Stone.
Oh, okay, that's a winner. That's the win. No, you just won because Danny DeVito in Romancing the Stone is one of my favorite characters ever.
Dude, he kills me. Oh man, what a list!
Don't let me die in the jungle like a goddamn snake. We're about to have a close encounter with a cattle prod.
And with Danny DeVito, he fires on all comedic elements.
Yeah,
and he can even do physical comedy. And you remember when he's on the phone and
he's trying to get the posters,
and then he gets the posters,
goes over,
falls over the thing.
Oh my God, he's so funny in that.
He's so funny.
To this day, probably the most repeated line interchange between my wife and I is she'll ask me to do something and I'll say, all right. And then she'll say, when? And I'll say, soon. How soon? Very soon. That line gets said all the time in my house. I'll send the boat back for you, Ira. When? Soon.
How soon?
Very soon.
What a great movie that was. That was Zemeckis really coming out to show something.
That's actually one of the few movies that my wife and I own on physical media.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a very rewatchable movie if you're, watching movies with your wife.
It's the first time I saw Michael Douglas as a full-fledged movie star.
Yeah.
He was in that. Love that movie. Did you like the sequel?
Not nearly as much. No, it was a much inferior sequel. But you are 100% right about Danny DeVito as Ira.
How soon? That's the best.
No, his name. No, his cousin is Ira. Danny DeVito's character has a different name. What's his name? His name is shit.
Palma? No, no, that's Taxi.
I'm looking at.
Yeah, because his cousin is Ira.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito is Ralph.
Ralph and Ira. That's right. Yeah.
So I was just in Costa Rica, and what was pretty cool about it is they did a lot of they did some of the Lost Ark in Costa Rica, like when they found that Paramount Mountain, and some of it was all through Central America, but some of Romancing the Stone was there.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our most hated, Nurse Ratched, Ray Fiennes, even though Ty's a big fan, Ray Fiennes and Schindler's List, the Warden and Shawshank Redemption, Joffrey and Ichabod Cunningham, The love to hate, it's just a good time hating them, is Chet. Number 2 is William Atherton in Ghostbusters and Real Genius. And number 3 is Biff. Number 4 is Ellis. And number 5 is Danny DeVito in Romancing the Stone. I don't remember his character's name.
Ralph.
When he's like trying to talk on the phone and he's like doing his thing, and then when he sits on the counter and he looks and he sees the wanted poster of himself, and then he goes to snatch it off and he falls, it just kills me.
Every time. Yeah. I'm mobilizing for Iwo Jima down here.
Did you see War of the Roses?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, he directed that one. It wasn't a great movie, but it had it's fun seeing him and Michael Douglas. And
the three of them. It was all three of them.
The three of them. That's what I meant. Yeah.
One of the greatest endings.
What'd you say, Clint?
The ending of War of the Roses is one of the greatest, mean, heartless endings.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Yeah, when she shoves his hand away.
Yes, they're dying, and she takes his hand and throws it off of her.
Yep.
Hey, Wes, do you want to see the top 5 of the patrons?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pull it up right now.
Jar Jar Binks. Dolores Umbridge. Because they knew Clint would fight for that one. Carter Burke. Oh, shit, we didn't do Carter Burke.
Yeah, I don't hate Carter Burke as much as I hate, the warden in Green Mile. Or, in Shawshank.
Good point. Percy. Yeah, so, they got Walter Peck. Wow, they did well. They know us so well, Ty. It's just such a...
Yeah, so here's the thing is they went for some, meta choices. Jar Jar is not written to be a character that you hate, but the meta is that we all hate him because he was such a terrible character in those movies. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with going for the sort of meta choices. But we went more for characters who were actually written to be bad guys and were so well written and performed that we legitimately hated them. Yeah.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. This was a great time. Now I know who you hate, and this was a lot of fun. Come hang out with us again. Say goodbye, Ty.
Goodbye, Ty.